the first light of dawn broke across the green mountains of Sichuan, where mist lay thick as silk along the slopes and valleys. The forest stretched endlessly, an ocean of bamboo, its stalks swaying and whispering in the wind like a chorus of secrets. In that living cathedral, among the groves that climbed into the sky, a panda was born, a small bundle of black and white fur, who blinked into the world with eyes as dark as midnight. His mother cradled him close, pressing him into the warmth of her chest, and in the hushed breath of that forest, he took his first trembling breath. They named him Bo, for in his arrival there was treasure, not the kind men sought with gold and stone, but the kind that whispered of endurance and quiet grace. Bao's stripes were bold even as a cub, his patches stark against the pale softness of his fur, and his tiny squeaks rose and fell like a song only the mountains could hear. Bao's earliest days were spent in the crook of his mother's embrace, hidden in the hollow of a tree. He felt the rhythm of her heartbeat, the warmth of her breath, the protective strength of her arms. Outside, the forest sang, bamboo leaves rattled, birds called to one another, rivers carried their eternal tune through the valleys. Life was vast, and Bao was only beginning to sense it. As he grew, his world widened. He ventured first a paw's length beyond the nest, then a boffy's length, until soon the grove became his playground. He would tumble clumsily, his round body rolling through leaves, his nose dusted with earth. The bamboo fascinated him, tall, green, unending, his teeth clamped on shoots, and though he gnawed more than he chewed in those days, the taste rooted itself in him like destiny. But the bamboo forest was no gentle cradle. Bao learned early that shadows moved even in paradise. Golden eagles circled the skies, their wings vast, their talons keen. Leopards prowled the underbrush, their eyes gleaming with hunger. Even red pandas and smaller creatures fled when danger whispered too close. Bao's mother was vigilant, guiding him through each test, her growl a shield, her body a wall. From her, Bao learned the truth of the forest. It was beautiful, but beauty did not promise safety. One day, while Bao played among the shoots, a leopard's form slinked into view, silent as a ghost. Bao froze, his small body trembling. His mother erupted from the thicket, roaring with such ferocity that the leopard paused. She charged, her great weight thundering through bamboo, forcing the predator to retreat. Bao was pulled back into her embrace, his heart pounding. He understood then, the world could take him if he faltered, but he also understood that courage, like bamboo, could grow tall from even the smallest seed. Seasons turned. Mist gave way to storms, storms to blossoms, blossoms to snow. Bo grew into a yearling, his body swelling with strength, his clumsy play transforming into purposeful climbs, steady movements, and the gnawing hunger that drove him deeper into the groves. Bamboo was his life. Its shoots, its leaves, its stalks filled his belly, its thickets sheltered him from wind and rain, its presence stitched him into the fabric of the mountain. Yet even as his belly was sated, Bao's spirit hungered for more. He felt it whenever he gazed from the ridges, looking down at valleys veiled in mist. Something in him longed, not just to live, but to endure in a way that mattered. His first great trial came with famine. One year, the bamboo flowered, as it did once in decades. To the unknowing eye, it was beautiful. Golden blossoms cascading down stalks, but flowering was death for bamboo. The stalks withered, their leaves browned, their shoots crumbled to ash. The forest Bao knew became a wasteland of brittle husks. Hunger pressed on every creature. Bao wandered long miles, his belly gnawing at him. He grew weaker, his legs unsteady. Around him, pandas faltered, some too old or too young to continue. Bao's instincts urged him onward, but more than instinct, it was will. He pushed through valleys where the air smelled of decay, through gullies where even birds had fallen silent. At last, after days of hunger, Bo stumbled upon a hidden grove deep in the mountains. There, untouched, bamboo sprouted green and strong, his jaws clamped down, and life flowed back into him. Yet as he fed, he heard the faint cries of others, cubs, mothers, the wary pandas who had followed his trail, drawn by his scent. Bo turned from his own feast and led them into the grove, his body moving slow but certain. They ate, they survived, because Bo had endured. From that day, though no panda would speak it in words, the forest carried his name differently. He was Bao, the pathfinder, the quiet leader, who saw beyond himself. Years flowed like rivers. Bao grew massive, his body a mountain of muscle hidden beneath fur, his head broadened, his jaws could snap bamboo stalks as thick as a man's wrist. His eyes, once wide with fear, now held calm patience. He had scars, faint lines across his shoulder from defending against leopards, a tear along his ear from a clash with another male, yet each mark was a story of survival, written not with ink but with endurance. Though pandas lived solitary, Bao's solitude was never loneliness. He moved like a spirit through the bamboo, silent yet present. Others crossed his path, mothers with cubs, young males eager to test their strength, elders moving slow with age. To each, Bao was a figure that commanded respect. He never sought dominance, but neither did he yield when challenged. When rivals reared and swiped, Bao met them with steady strength, never cruel, always certain, and one by one, they learned that he was not to be tested lightly. Then came the storm. One spring, black clouds gathered, heavy with fury. The forest trembled as wind tore through bamboo, lightning splitting trunks, rain cascading in torrents. Fires sparked where lightning struck, smoke choking the valleys. Rivers swelled into raging torrents, flooding the lowlands. Animals fled, takins, monkeys, birds, all crying out in terror. Pandas, too, stumbled blindly through the chaos, cubs clinging to their mothers. Amidst the storm, Bo emerged like a shadow of strength. He brayed low, steadying those who faltered. He led them upward, away from flood and flame, guiding through narrow ridges where his weight carved safe paths. Cub after cub followed him, paws slipping on wet stone, but Bao nudged them forward. When a tree fell across their way, he pushed, his massive shoulders straining until the path cleared. Through smoke and thunder, Bao became the axis on which their survival turned. When dawn came, the storm broken, the forest lay scarred, blackened trunks, mudslides, shattered groves, but from the ashes, bamboo would rise again. And as the pandas gathered, trembling but alive, their eyes turned toward Bo. He was not their leader in title, for pandas had no leaders, yet, in their silence, in their lingering near him, in the way mothers pressed their cubs close as he passed, Bo was something greater, a guardian. Years passed, and Bo aged. His fur, once dark and bold, now silvered at the edges. His strength waned, though his presence remained vast. He spent his days moving slowly through groves, still feeding, still patrolling, but no longer with the urgency of youth. Yet even in age, his spirit burned steady. Young pandas who never knew famine or storm still paused when Ba passed, sensing in him a gravity beyond words. One twilight, as mist curled through the trees, Ba climbed to a ridge. Below him, the bamboo spread endless and green, alive with whispers of wind and life. Birds sang, rivers glistened, and in the distance, a mother and cub played, their laughter echoing faintly. Bo stood tall, his chest rising, his eyes gleaming. He thought of his mother's embrace, of the famine grove, of the storm, of the countless trials survived. He thought of every postip that had brought him here, each etched into the soil of this mountain. As the sun sank, painting the mist gold, Bao brayed one last time. It was a sound not of fear nor hunger, but of triumph, a declaration to the forest, to the mountains, to the sky itself. His life had not been merely survival. It had been proof that gentleness could endure storms, that strength could be found in patience, that legacy could live in silence. And as the stars opened above, Bao lay among the bamboo, his breath slowing, his body settling into the earth he had walked for so many years. The forest held its breath, and then the wind carried his spirit, weaving it into leaves, rivers, and soil. For Bo was never just a panda. He was the spirit of the bamboo forest, eternal, unyielding, majestic, and as long as bamboo swayed in the mountains, his story would live on, whispered in every rustle, shining in every dawn mist.